When you know ball, you know ball. What can I say? Big Deke news. Listen, I feel like I've been kind of hitting the nail on the head with my takes here recently. I hope you guys have been paying attention. This even goes back to last week in the lead up to this Colts matchup when I was criticizing the defense and saying, yeah, we're not in a good spot. We need to shake some things up. And Mike Tomlin not only agrees with the fact that the defense, the Steelers, deserve criticism.
It was a tough week, but we certainly deserved it based on the last performance.
But you got TJ Watt saying, yeah, we switched up our approach a little bit. We switched up our mentality.
Pinning our ears back, simplifying the game plan, things we talked about all week, smashing the run obviously helps. Man, we critique ourselves very hard ourselves. So there's a lot of film that need to be corrected. We didn't need people from the outside telling us. We took plenty of pride in fixing it.
And we made some personnel changes on defense, somewhat out of necessity, but you see how that paid off in this game because you can't just, again, keep doing what you're doing and expect a different result. And up to that point, the defense was pretty much ranked last in the league. Now, they turned the corner in yesterday's game. I still think there's tweaks and different things to work on going forward. We're not all the way there. We didn't go from last in the league to top 5 overnight because of this Colts game. I get that we had the 6 turnovers. It was one of our better performances of the year. But trust me, there's still some things we need to work on. But this goes to my point where I'm saying my takes are pretty much there because I was saying this yesterday in my post game, and some of you guys were criticizing me saying, like, oh, D, come on, enjoy the win. Like, where's the energy? But listen to what Tomlin had to say about it after the game.
It's a fine line between drinking wine and squashing grapes in this business. It's a limited number of plays or sequences that can really change the trajectory of an outcome. We're still the same group that stunk it up last week. That's football.
I also said the offense got the job done. 27 points. It was more than the Colts. We won the game. But we're not all the way there yet either. There's not a reason to get too overly excited about what the offense is doing. And here's what Aaron Rodgers had to say.
Oh, I love the play calling. I thought the execution was pretty bad. You know, we got to look in the mirror and play better on offense because that's not good enough. Any phase, run game, catching the football, defense played incredible, and we got to put game like that. We got to put 35-42 on the board and close the game out.
Finally, how about my predictions and preview for the game? I said Colts were overrated, and I got a good feeling that we're going to win. And you see what the result was. I hope you guys have been paying attention. I've been dropping some ball knowledge here on Big Deke News. I've been sharing some lessons here, giving some good takes. So I don't know if my intent was to give a little victory lap in this intro, but maybe I guess I did. And it's not hyperbole because you just witnessed all those clips that I just showed right there. Tomlin, Rodgers, Watt, all of the biggest leaders on this Steelers team and their takes going hand in hand with what I had to say, not only throughout the week, but immediately after yesterday's game. So for those that felt like maybe I was too harsh on the Steelers after yesterday's win or my energy wasn't high enough, hey, man, I'm just calling it like I see it, and you got guys like Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers having the same assessment. So that's that. But yesterday was a good step in the right direction. Don't get me wrong, but the question is, are we going to keep the momentum going and not all of a sudden have letdown games and play down to our competition for a 2 or 3 game stretch? Because that's the thing. Even if we win against the Chargers, even though if we win against the Bengals the following week, we've seen this story before so many times, man. So many times. Is it all of a sudden going to be our heads get a little bit too big for the following week and the week after that, and we lose 2 in a row, and then the sky's falling, and it's like, man, what happened to the Steelers standard? And we have the same conversation again. But then that's when they'll win the next game. And we just never fully live up to our potential with that cycle and with that state of inconsistency, to be honest. We've seen this before. So I'm going to wait and see for these next couple games before I fully dive in and say, yeah, we are legit back, top of AFC type of stuff. Contenders, or if we do continue to win, should we even do that anymore? Because it does seem like every time I say that, and every time Steeler Nation's saying that, and the media's saying that, that's when the letdown games start to happen, and we go 0-2 and we're missing tackles out there. Offense is conservative. Dudes look like they don't even want to play football anymore. So maybe we just take it a week at a time for the rest of the season. Going back to what I said after the Patriots game, I was like, yeah, maybe we just shouldn't have expectations anymore. That'll be the key to happiness with this Steelers season. Maybe just the key to happiness in general, being a Steeler fan. But let's just be real. We can't help ourselves. If we win against the Chargers, we win against the Bengals. I mean, come on. We'll be 7-3, and I'm going to be on here saying, yeah, we're back. We're back. Super Bowl, here we come. But back to the here and now. Again, I don't think we're exactly where we need to be as a team right now. We're not fully there. But I also don't think that's necessarily a problem either. I don't think it's like this bad statement or indictment on the season because we're in a good spot. 5-3. There's like 9 more games left to get better. We're still on top of the AFC North by a sizable margin. And you know what they say. There's something to heating up right before the playoffs, trying to peak at the right time when the games start to matter most. And we're still only in the middle of the season. And things could be a lot worse. We could have lost yesterday's game 4-4. And the sky could be falling more now than ever. But it's not. I think yesterday was a good, positive step in the right direction. But I also don't think we're fully exactly where we need to be given the context of the game. Like the defense didn't all of a sudden become an elite defense because of that Colts game and the 6 turnovers. I'm sorry. I don't buy it just yet. And the offense, despite putting up 27 points, if you just look at the box score, you're thinking, okay, yeah, 27 points. If you take that on a per-game basis, that's one of the best offenses in the league. And I actually do think the offense is and has been playing above the line, above average throughout the course of the season. But I think there's still more potential out there for the offense. So, there's still more work to do there. That's all. I don't think it has to be this huge either or. I'm pumped about yesterday's game. I think it was a good, positive step. I liked what I saw. But I also think we're just not fully there yet. But in today's society, the media world and everything, people take what I'm saying right there and thinking that I'm down after yesterday's win or something like that. No, I'm just calling it like I see it. I just am. And given the state of the Steelers, not only this season, but how we've been over the last 3 or 4 years, I think it's a fair assessment to make given, this recent history and how these Steeler teams have operated that, yeah, we got to see more. We got to button things up a little bit more on defense, offense, and then, maybe if we do get to 7-3 or 8-3, beat some of these better teams that we got up on our schedule, all right, now we could be talking us being back and we can really rely on a defense in a way that we thought we were going to heading into the season. And then kind of same with the offense. Still more out there for sure, but don't get me wrong. I like where we're at, and I liked what happened in yesterday's game. Now, I did say we were going to do the segment that I'm going to do right now each Monday after each game, even the losses, but I don't think I did it in the last couple games, probably because of the losses. But it's the 3 stars of the game. Maybe you could only do these for wins. I think you can't do 3 stars of the game when you lose. Just point blank, period. The vibes just aren't there to be doing 3 stars. We lost the game. Who cares? You got to win first as a team. Then I think you give out the star awards to the individual players if you win as a team. So maybe we're banning the 3-star segment after losses, but for wins, we do it. I think that sounds right because after a loss, the 3 stars of the game. Nah, it doesn't work. I don't think it works unless you're talking about the other team, and we're not doing that on this Steelers channel. So 3 stars of the game. Tell me where I'm right. Tell me where I'm wrong. At 3, I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers. Box score wasn't anything crazy. 25-35, a little over 200, a touchdown. But if you know what you're watching out there, this dude's operating at a high level. He's still playing very elite. He's keeping this offense afloat. And you got to consider we probably had 4 or 5 drops. The stat line could have been better. He could have maybe had 2 or 3 touchdowns. But doesn't put the ball in harm's way. Gets us in and out of bad plays. If a play is dead, knows how to see another down, not put us in a bad spot, both offensively and defensively. Just knowing when to take a sack and not have a turnover, do anything stupid, but then can still make all the throws pinpoint accurate. He's playing awesome. He just flat out right is. And I think yesterday was an awesome game, but again, it's not going to show up on the stat sheet or anything like that. He keeps the chains moving, keeps the offense on schedule, and I would argue he's the MVP of the team up to this point. But for yesterday's game specifically, I got him in the 3rd-star spot. A couple players on defense are going to be taking the first 2 positions here. The 2nd star, I don't know if this is going to be a hot take or if this is going to be a stretch, but I'm going to go with Jalen Ramsey because there's a lot of other guys that have more stats on defense, more splash plays. Cam Hayward with the pass deflections, TJ Watt, Highsmith, obviously, Peyton Wilson. But for Jalen Ramsey to be playing safety full-time yesterday out of necessity because of all the injuries at safety, and you got to give props to Kyle Duggar too. I might have him in my honorable mentions, but he basically played all the snaps yesterday on defense, and we didn't really see a bad play from him. But Jalen Ramsey, I think it's not only how he played yesterday, helped set the tone. Like you saw some big-time tackles from him, him being aggressive and just almost like playing like a Steeler, playing like a classic Steeler. Not only that, but apparently the message that he gave before this game on Saturday, like a team meeting, stood up in front of everyone, gave a message, was inspiring and motivating. And not only, like Rodgers is the one that was talking about it in his post-game interview. It not only, I feel like, had to have helped spark the defense, but also, like Aaron Rodgers said, yeah, that affected me too.
I noticed that something kind of changed last night when Jalen spoke. And it's not easy to speak in front of the team even when you're a player. It's unnatural. I think coaches are used to it because they do it every single day, and Mike is fantastic at it. But Jalen kind of went on and had the attention of the room, and he said some really, really good stuff. I'm not going to get into it because I feel like that it's kind of need to know information. But it was meaningful to me on the offensive side, and I feel like we had a different energy in the locker room today. Now, all week, I don't pay super tight attention to that side of the ball at all times in practice, but I do feel like in the locker room pregame, there was a different energy for us, and they played really well.
I think Ramsey's been great in a Steeler uniform up to this point. Play hasn't been perfect, but I mean, it's definitely been really solid. He's had more good moments and good games than bad games. Don't get me wrong. The versatility on display too. But the fact that we're seeing like the leadership and stuff like this continue to pop up throughout the season, I think it says a lot to me. I think it is really something, given that Ramsey at this point in his career, he's accomplished everything, bro. Like he doesn't have to go out of his way to give messages to the team or like put himself out there like that in uncomfortable positions and take on this big-time leadership role, but he's doing it anyway. So I got Ramsey at the 2 spot, not only for what he did on the field yesterday. I'm not even trying to diminish that, but like I said, there's guys that had more gaudy numbers and splash plays on the defensive end, but how he just took on that leadership role, put it on himself to give a message to the team after these back-to-back disappointing weeks and say like, yo, we got to get our shit together. Like, this is what I'm seeing. Here's my perspective. This is what I think we can do. And give an inspiring message to the team and also back it up on the field. And because that's the other thing. Actions do speak louder than words, but when you can mesh the both together, like I think it could be a special thing. And Jalen Ramsey is really taking on this leadership role in a Steeler uniform, and I think is going above and beyond what's required.
I can't say enough about Jalen. Jalen does any and everything that we require for him to do. We needed him to play exclusively free safety today, and he did, and did it at a high level. I'm just glad he's on the team.
So there's that at 2, and then 1. Actually, I can't even pick. It's tough. I don't even know who to pick at 1. I don't. I'm thinking Highsmith, but like you can make a case for any. Like you can make a case for a lot of people. Highsmith, TJ, Cam, Joey Porter Jr. got the pick. He had a couple pass deflections, 4 pass deflections. He had a couple penalties. I don't know, man. 1's tough. I mean, part of me just wants to give it to the whole defense, but that's a cop-out answer. I don't know. I think I'm going to go Highsmith. I think that was a coming-out game for him, at least for the 2025 season. Like, him saying, all right, I'm back. Like, TJ, Highsmith, this is going to be the duo, hopefully, that it was a few years back when Highsmith had, 14 sacks. And when I look at this list, I don't know. I don't know if it makes complete sense. I'm interested to hear what you guys got to say because just based off numbers, you probably could have at least 2 different names here. But with Rodgers, quarterback, most important position on offense, but also for the whole team, and him playing good yesterday, like that means something. It just does, flat out. And again, the game could have been better, and we know how Rodgers is playing this season, but also, again, not only for the season, but in yesterday's game, he had to pick up where there was some slack. Like, there were drops out there, but Rodgers kept things going and did what he had to do. And then Jalen Ramsey, I think the whole position switch and taking on the leadership role, that matters. That matters. That's like a force multiplier for the defense. If you're giving that type of message and you're backing it up with your play and showcasing your versatility and showing that you're willing to do whatever it takes to win, go from cornerback to safety full time with Elliott being out, yeah, I'm going to have him on this list. And then, yeah, for one, Highsmith. I just think he had a really good game. So let me know your top 3 stars for the win against the Colts, the 27-20 win. But last thing before we get off today's show, I just wanted to do a quick trade deadline update because the deadline is tomorrow. And obviously the Steelers are searching for a receiver. I don't know how far out of their way they're going to go. I don't think they're going to give up anything significant to get a guy in here. And that's what it's looking like for the top 2 or 3 receivers we were talking about being on the market, like a Garrett Wilson, a Jalen Waddle, potentially a Chris Olave. It might take a first or second round pick to get some of those guys in here. At least that's what reports are saying. So those are probably doubtful. Like, Waddle is on the block if teams are willing to give up a first rounder plus, according to Adam Schefter. And we know that's not happening. We're not giving up a first plus to get any receiver out there. Dude, we gave up George Pickens for a third rounder. Like, that's the other thing that's just frustrating. I was saying it on yesterday's post game. Like, I'm admitting the L on that Pickens trade. I just am. We should have saw it through, at least for this season. If things were going bad through a few weeks, maybe you trade Pickens middle of the season. Because you see how it's playing out. You see, like, how we tried to keep everything, like, so perfect and get Pickens drama out of the building. It's like it still has been a rocky season. It still has been up and down. The defense has been shit. We've had all these inconsistent moments. Why not have kept Pickens at least? Man, could you imagine with him on the outside? And you're seeing some of these throws that Rodgers is making, and I'm seeing Deke drop them. I'm seeing, Darnell Washington drop some of these passes. I'm like, man, I think Pickens could have made some of these. I mean, the body control, the hands that he's got. Now, we have seen Pickens drop some of the easier ones recently, but you get my point. I don't think we're giving up a first rounder to get any of these receivers at all. So I would consider Waddle out. Garrett Wilson, same caliber, out. Maybe Chris Olave. I don't know. I'm seeing some reports that Saints aren't really interested in moving off of Chris Olave to begin with. They're trying to give him an extension, but it would probably take, I don't think, a first rounder to get Olave, maybe a second rounder. I don't know, a third rounder plus. My guess is if that's the case for him, we're out. So the most likely names I'm thinking at this point is Jacoby Meyer, who's a guy that we called for reportedly last week with the Raiders, had some conversations. I'm sure it's just going to come down to compensation and what other options are out there. Potentially a Calvin Ridley. That seems likely, so maybe it's between those two and what the teams are willing to take for each of those players, and that's going to determine what Omar Khan does. If I had to pick between Ridley and Jacoby Myers, I think I'd go Ridley. Talent's better. I think he's just been a better receiver up to this point, but it might cost a little more to get him. If it's a 4th or 5th round pick for Ridley versus Myers, I'd rather do Ridley, but I would actually even give up more compensation to get Ridley. If it's a 4th or 5th to get Ridley versus like a 6th to get Myers, I'd still try to get Ridley. I just think he's a better receiver, more dynamic. Other names, no, that's about it. Oh, Rashid Shaheed. I'm seeing that it might take a 3rd rounder to get him, which, okay, that's like you're starting to get, that's maybe a premium for him, but at the same time, I do think he's an explosive playmaker. Just hasn't fully proven to be like a year in, year out, 1,000-yard receiver. But he's on pace for about 800-900 yards this year. He's got the speed. He's an upgrade over what we got. 3rd rounder for him. And if we can keep him, you give him a little contract extension, wouldn't be the worst of things. So between Shaheed, Ridley, Myers, that's probably our wheelhouse in terms of upgrading the room. Because you look at yesterday's game, I know we have our hopes for Roman Wilson. Calvin Austin continues to put on some pretty decent performances. Seems like a target-friendly guy for Aaron Rodgers. Even in the Packers game, it's not showing up in the box score, but he did get that pass interference down the field, helped us move like 20, 30 yards on that drive. So he gets targeted, like 5-6 times a game. does good things. Like, I like Calvin Austin, but Roman Wilson, he doesn't seem like a guy that we're relying on enough week in and week out for us not to trade for an extra receiver. Like, if we get one of these guys, they become like wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 with a Calvin Austin, and it's Deke, new receiver, Calvin Austin as our top 3. Like, I like that. And then you got Roman Wilson at the 4. That's good depth. I think it's good high end for the receiver room as well by adding another guy and what we need to try to reach our ceiling as an offense. Is it fully needed? Kinda. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean with how we use the tight ends? Like, I feel like if the defense steps up, we could do things with the offense we have now. But why leave it to that chance? Why not try to turn over every stone and do the all-in thing like we've been preaching all the way back to the offseason? Like, why stop now? When you see that the receiver room is still a little bit inconsistent, even with DK Metcalf, even the guy that we got as our number 1, we're seeing inconsistencies with him. So add someone else. Just add someone else to the receiver room. I get that we have the 3 tight ends and all that stuff, but you can never have too many weapons. You can't. And you could say the same thing on defense with having cornerbacks and having depth in the secondary. Obviously, like you saw, a couple of our safeties went down. Jalen Ramsey had to switch positions, and people are talking about us trading for a cornerback. You've seen some down times with our cornerback play in our secondary room this year. And yesterday was a decent step in the right direction, even though Danny Dimes still threw for 300-something yards. But I like the combination for what we saw yesterday, but it wouldn't hurt to upgrade. It wouldn't hurt to bring in someone else like a Tariq Woolen. His name's being thrown out there. Now, do I think something like that happens? Probably not. But if it's like a 4th or a 5th round pick for Tariq Woolen, I don't know if it would be the best fit scheme-wise or anything, but we did play some zone yesterday, and you saw Darius Slay in some of those cover 2 plays, and you could wonder to yourself, would Woolen be a better fit in that spot than a Darius Slay right now? Because Woolen is a little bit more of a zone cover corner compared to man, and we like to run man a little bit more than zone. Just why not add another piece to the room? Why not add another guy? And a guy of Tariq Woolen's like stature and athleticism and all that stuff. I'm sure it wouldn't hurt. If not him, someone else. I know there's other names being thrown out there. Wouldn't be the worst thing, because now Corey Trice on IR. That's the one thing, going back to last week with him practicing, I was like, all right, that could be a switch up in the secondary. Let's see what he could do. When he's been out on the field, he's done good things. He's just always hurt. But now he gets hurt again. So maybe we get – and Tariq Woolen is, in a way, a better version of Corey Trice, somewhat. So, it wouldn't be a crazy concept by adding Woolen. You can still call up a Beanie Bishop. There's little things you could do, but yeah, why not? Why not take some swings? We've been taking swings all the way back to March. Why not 1 or 2 at the trade deadline? Add a receiver, add a Tariq Woolen, add a cornerback. Not gonna hurt. Not gonna hurt at all. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments on this Victory Monday. Stay chilling. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.